Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to go over setting up NextJS version 14, the app router. And if you're new to programming, this is perfect for you. I'm going to go over everything. I'm going to leave time markers in the video here so you can skip to whatever you want, but stay till the end because I have a lot of good tips and tricks for you. So let's get into this. Alright, so we're going to start with the basics right here. And I was in this situation before when I first started programming. And let's say you started with C++, or you started with JavaScript, any type of programming, Python. And I was kind of confused on how to use React. So I'm going to briefly tell you what all this is. So NextJS is built on top of React.js. And what is React? It's Node. And so the first thing we need to do is to install Node, right? So if you go to nodejs.org right here, you can download your version. I'm using a MacBook Pro 14 with the M2 chip. So sorry for the PC users out here. All of my commands will be in Mac. But here's the thing, if you don't want to install Node from their actual website, I really suggest using Homebrew. Homebrew is a package manager where you can install any kind of programming language that you want. So go to Google, search up Homebrew. Let's click into here. And it's very easy to install. They give you a command line right here. You copy that and you open up your terminal. And then you just paste in that command line and it installs Homebrew for you. So with Homebrew, I can then type a brew install Node, and I can do that with anything else, like brew install Python, brew install any type of programming language, and I can use Homebrew to update any of my packages that I want. So let me show you that in a minute, but first, like I said, if you've never programmed or anything like that, I really suggest Visual Studio Code. Download Visual Studio Code here, search for it, go into there, download the one that you need. But first, let me do this. I'm going to go to my sandbox folder right here, and I have a folder in here called NextJS_14 setup. So this is just an empty folder. There's nothing in it. And what I like to do is drag on this folder. I hold it. I drag it down into my Visual Studio Code, and I drop it in. Now, when I drop it in, it opens the project inside of that folder for me. See there? Here's my project folder. Now I can hold Control and tilde, and that opens up my terminal. Now this terminal is the same thing as my default terminal inside of my MacBook right here. It's the same terminal. It's just it's integrated into this code here so that I can use it easily. So, and I'll show you my Node version right here. If I do node-v, here's my Node version, right? Here, let me make this project larger so you can see. There you go. So that's my Node version. Node comes with npm, so I'll show you the version on that, and also npx. So, they're the same version. So these are the same commands, and I'll show you right here. To install NextJS, I do npx space create dash next dash app space period. Why am I doing this period? Because I want to install it into the current directory that I'm in here. If I leave that empty, I can give it a folder name and it'll install into that folder name. But I want to install into the current directory. So I do a period, enter, and it's going to ask these questions. Just press enter in all of them because I'm not going to use TypeScript. TypeScript is very popular. I'll do some programming tutorials on that later on, but right now I'm not using TypeScript, and I feel like for new beginners it is easier to learn without TypeScript because it gets a little bit more complicated. No TypeScript for now. ESLint, that's fine. Tailwind CSS, yes. I don't want to use the source directory. And yes, we are using the app router. So the app router is new with NextJS 14. And would you like to customize? No. And it's going to set up my boilerplate for NextJS. And here's everything inside right here. Let's clear that out. And yeah, this is my, if I open up package JSON right here, it shows my NextJS, the versions, dependencies, everything that is running in here. Here is ESLint, Tailwind. And so it has these scripts in here, and I'll show you in a minute how to run it because this script is how we're running the program. So if I want to run on this NextJS program right here, I have to type up npm run, and then I can type up the script dev. So how it works is if I type up npm run and then any of these script names, it really just activates this code right here to run NextJS. So I can just type dev. It's kind of like a shortcut, to run the program. And then it opens up localhost 3000. So now I can go into my browser And here is our Next.js application running. So yeah, that's how to install Next.js. To stop the server, I have to hold Control C for cancel, and it cancels out that server, and now the server isn't running. If I refresh, see the server's down. So yeah, I really suggest installing Homebrew, because every time I run a new project, I always do brew update, and then I do brew upgrade, and that will update and upgrade my node and everything. Let's say if Node comes out with a new version, I just do this and it'll just update it to the new version. So you see, Brew is just a package manager. It makes it very easy. So yeah, let me reiterate this, because I think this was confusing to me at the beginning. You notice that when I installed Next.js, I typed npx. Okay, so you have to type npx create next app, and you're only going to use npx to install next. After that, I'm going to run the command npm for the rest of the stuff. So npx is only to install, npm is to run my stuff. Okay, so that kind of confused me at the beginning, and you might get confused on that because it's just one letter right there, npx, npm. So now, when I run npm run dev, you have to type that. You don't type npx run dev. So just trying to make it clear on that, because I know that confused me for a bit. So now I'm going to step through the structure of Next.js app. And if we go to Next.js over here, let's go to nextjs.org right here. You can find all of their documentations in here. And I think this also confused me when I was first working with Next.js, and I was searching up code documentation. So if you look up here, you see how this thing says using app router. That is with Next.js 14, and that's what we're using right now. If you click on this arrow, you can go to the pages router, and this uses their older versions, 13 and so. So I want to make that clear too, because you can get confused if you're looking up code on Google. You might find different codes, and if you're running the app router, a lot of the older codes they're showing on Google that is using page router. So don't get confused on that. I studied this whole app router, everything in here, so that's what I'm going to teach you right now to make it easy. But that's how you switch back and forth, right? And we are using the app router because we are using Next.js 14. And so yeah, what is the app router? Let's go through the basics of Next.js right here. This is the root right in here. Here's our tailwind stuff. You don't have to really worry about this. Just go up here. Here's public and app. And so you see there's not that many things in here, right? Because they simplified this so much, and I love Next.js for this. So in public, if I create a folder in here called images, just think of it as your public HTML page, right? Anything that I put public in here will be accessible through the web. And I'll show you what I mean right now. I dragged an image into my public images folder here called hello.jpg. Now let me do an npm run dev. I'm going to start up the server again. So here we're running our local host again. So now if I go /images/hello.jpg, see, I can access that image publicly because it is in the public folder. So anything you put public in here, you can access. Let's go to the app folder up here. Okay, app is our main programming pages right here. There's page and layout. So I'm going to quickly go through these and show you how it is. Right in this page here, this is what's running Next.js. Here is the root homepage. That's all the code that you see in pages right here. So everything in here, you notice that it's using class name and it's running all this stuff. This is Tailwind CSS. And you'll also notice that it's not called class in here. It's not like class equals. You can also use class like that. It's just Next.js came up with their own naming convention here. And I suggest using it this way. Use all of their naming conventions, So even right here, how they import image, see how they use the image component. And then you have to have all of these settings here. So use theirs. But even though this does work too, if you leave it like that, it does work. But I like to use the Next.js naming conventions here. So let me show you right here. I am going to strip this of its code. Scroll down here, there's a lot of code here. I'm going to strip all of that. I'm going to leave in the main, and I'll just do an h1 right here, and I'll put homepage. This is the homepage content. And if I want to do a class, text center, this is just Tailwind CSS p4. Tailwind, I love Tailwind CSS. I also love Chakra CSS, or was it Chakra UI? I used to do Bootstrap, but now I love Tailwind more. So if I save this, let's go back over here. You see how it gets updated right away. Homepage, this is the homepage content. So that's how it works. But I'm gonna strip this main right here, and I'm gonna do these empty brackets right here, like that. You're gonna see this a lot. How React and Node and all this works is you have to have everything inside of a block. And so I can't do like another div out here like that. Everything has to be encased in one block. And then inside here you can do as many divs or any other blocks that you want. Whoops, dove. At the beginning of the return, you have to put everything inside of one block. And if I want to comment things out, I can go like that because I'm not using image anymore. And I want to show you this too. Like this is an old style of coding where you have to put the semicolons like that. You don't really have to do semicolons anymore. If I do that, it still works. So I actually like coding this way more, where I'm omitting the semicolon, because I feel like just imagine if you have like 1,000 or so 50,000 lines of coding, and you're not using semicolon, look how much you're saving, right? So I like to not use the semicolon anymore. That's just the old way of coding for JavaScript. But you're probably wondering this, how does all of this work? This is the page, so think of page right here in the root. App right here, page. Every folder root has to have a page.js, and that is right here. This is the home page for that root. And where is it getting this? So let's go to the layout. What's it doing? It's importing a Google font. All right, that's fine. It's using that right here. And then it's importing this global. All right, so we have a global CSS where we can use throughout our whole application. And inside of global CSS is using Tailwind right here. This is where Tailwind comes in. But I'll leave that there, that's fine. It's doing some export metadata here. I'll cover that in a minute. Look at this function, export default function root layout, and it's taking in a children. So this root layout, there is a layout in every folder that you create. And a folder is a path. So let me show you here. This is our homepage path. The app right here is a folder, and this is the main homepage app. And so homepage, and it has a layout, and the layout takes in the children. What is this children? It is any page that you create in here. It takes in that children. So the children is this page right here. It takes in this whole thing right here, because this is exporting it. So it's returning that. So it's taking in that children, and then it populates the children in here. And so you see how this is now our default HTML code. This is our HTML page right here. HTML. This is inside layout. There's a body. See, for you to see it more clear. Body, and then children. Any page that you create, it just puts it in here as a children. And now this is global for any page that you create. Everything gets populated between the HTML body tag. But also the metadata here gets created in here. So let's say if I say homepage description, and if you view source on this, right click, view page source, and then you'll see right up here, here's the head, here's the metadata. Let's follow the metadata. All right, has some links, and here it is, title, homepage, and then metadata description, homepage description. This is pre-programmed into NextJS to take in any type of metadata, and you can give it a title description. This is inside the layout. I can take this, remove that, and put it into the page here. Okay, I want to show you why I'm doing this. So now I'll save this. Now the layout only has this stuff, right? And the page here has the metadata as well, and there for this home page only. Now the home page will only show this metadata. See, everything still works there. And I'll show you, if I create a folder in here called contact us, right? You can call it like contact, or you can do -us. And then inside you have to give it a page, like I said, right? And this can also have a layout. But let's say I'm not going to use a layout. It's going to use, this layout is global for everything, because these are the children now. This page now, I'll do export default function contact return. And so, make this as a habit as to create a basic layout like that. because this is how you create every page. And same thing, h1 in here, contact us. This is the contact page. So if I go up here / contact dash us, see, I put a dash. Here's the contact us page. And I'm going to view source on this. I'm going to show you something. View source. And let's go to the title again of this source here. There's no title in here. So we can give this page a metadata. Same thing like this. Copy page, contact, like that. Contact us description. Save that. We find the title now, contact right there, and description, contact us description. Now, remember what I was saying about the layout is global for everything, right? Let's say if inside of my home page here, I took this metadata, and let's comment this out. So now I don't have metadata inside contact us, and I'm not going to have metadata inside of the page either. And I'm going to go to layout, and let's put the metadata back into here. What's this going to do? Well, like I said, this layout is global for everything, right? So if I go back to this contact us page, I view source on it. It's going to use that title, see, homepage, and description, homepage description. It's going to use that for every page, because I told you that the layout here takes in the children, all of the children in here, and it wraps it into the body in here. So I really suggest taking this metadata, taking it out the layout, and putting it into each specific page. And then you can have SEO for every single page that you do. So yeah, this is how you create different URL paths. Contact us. I can have an about page in here, about, oops. And inside, like I said, every folder has to have a page.js function about. So like I said, every folder in here, you can also have a layout, and you can give it another layout. So this one I can call export default about layout. I can call that, and watch about header. Oh, and it also takes in the children. And then you put the children right in the middle, or you can put it anywhere you want. You can create a crazy layout and then populate this content of the about page into here anywhere you want. About footer. I just want to show you how this looks like when I populate it like this with the layout. So if I go to the about us page here, oops, see, I forgot to do this again. Always add in your tags like that first, like I said, otherwise you're gonna forget. Okay, so here's the layout, and here, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. So right here, here's the about page, right? Here's the about header. Here's the about page content right in the middle. That's where I set it. And here's the about footer. Now this is also wrapped around the main page layout of the app, this global layout right here. And this is how you can add in a header footer. Same thing for overall for every page. So in here I can put my own header footer. So you see right here I put in a header and footer for the main layout, the global homepage layout. And you see how it wraps it? Header, here's the main one, footer for the main, and then inside that is the about us page with its own about header and footer. So that's how layouts work with overall with everything. And to briefly go over everything again, this layout is global for your whole application. These are the children, anything that's inside of this app folder or this children. These are also URL paths. As long as you create a folder, it's a URL path, and every URL path here has to have a page. And it doesn't necessarily have to have a layout, but you can have a layout, and it wraps that again inside, just like the about page. And now this about page with the layout with its children, you can create more paths in here, more folders, and everything in there will get used by this layout. So hopefully you understand that, and it gives you an idea of how the whole layout for this app works and how easily they made routing in here by creating pages, and it just routes to it very easily. So now that I showed you the default layout of NextJS 14, how to create these folders, which are paths to navigate around the website, I'm going to show you how I normally set things up as a boilerplate when I first start my NextJS project on anything. And I feel like this should be good for everyone. So I would actually create these type of groupings called home, and I would also have an admin. Notice how I'm whoops, let me drag that back into the app folder. And notice how I'm spelling these with the brackets around here, right? So, and let's say if I have a shop, damn, I keep on creating outside of it. Drag that in. We want everything inside of the app folder here. And inside of the home here, I'm going to drag my contact us page and the about page into the home. Yes, I want to move it. And so inside of home here, now I have the about and contact. And so these are just groupings so that I can group all of this together as my home page files here. For the admin, I want to have a folder called dashboard, because everything that you create, you're going to have an admin. And inside there, we need a page.js, right? So inside shop here, let's say if you are creating some kind of website to sell things, I can have products in here. And then inside product, same thing, page. And here's another thing. So inside a shop here, the main shop folder here, I create a file called layout. And now this layout is global for all of my shop pages. See how easily that is? I can do the same thing for the admin page here. Layout. This layout is now global for all of my admins, because let's say if I have a dashboard in here and I have like widgets, and that widget will now use the layout page in here. If I have like analytics, all those need a page. So that's how it looks. Dashboard, admin stuff. This is the main page for the dashboard. And all of that is grouped inside of my admin. And that holds a layout for this admin specifically. Now this layout for the home page here, this is still going to give everything its header. And I'll create some headers in a minute, and I'll show you that in the layout. But I'm just showing you groupings here. This is how I would set up my boilerplate, if you want to call it that, for all of my applications. It's always going to have an admin. It will have a home grouping where I can create all these home stuff, because you have files in here that's like privacy. Then you have like terms of use, and all of these you want a certain layout in there. And so that's my home grouping here. And so yeah, these are called groupings. You can group them together, so it's just easier to navigate. And these aren't URLs. They're ignored by the application. They're just like labels, really. So you can't type up backslash, bracket, home bracket, and it's not going to go to anything. It's only to group things together for you. I created a whole tutorial on the basics of groupings and all of the top 5 things you need to know on NextJS 14. I suggest you go back and watch that video. I'll link it in my description. And yeah, it really helps to see all of the top 5 things that you should learn on NextJS. And then you can move on to this. And then other tutorial videos, I'm going to go into details on every single thing. And then I also want to create an error page, error.js. And this is inside of the app folder, error. Okay, this is our home page. And I also have not found.js, has a dash in there. So these are basic files. Not found is a 404 error. That's a 404 error page. So you can do export default function not found return 404 error. So that's for the not found page. If I go to the error page here, let's copy this. So the error page is a 505 error. So those are good pages to have there. And then if I collapse this app folder here, I go to the main root of everything. I like to create a components folder, and I also like to create a library folder. Inside a library are going to be like your MongoDB database files. And then inside of components, this is where we can have like headers and footer, any type of component thing that you create, like forms. And so let me create a quick header and footer right now. All right, so I created this header right here, very simple, with using Tailwind CSS. I have my header component right here, Tailwind, and I just have this UL with some A links in here for the home page, dashboard, contact, and about page. So that's my header. I also created a footer component right here. Very simple, copyright Kodakai. So let's close that up. And that's inside of my components folder here. So if we go to our app folder, I go to layout. Remember, this is the HTML layout with everything. I'm going to remove this previous header and footer that I created here, and then I'll import header. So you just type up this, it pre-fills it for you. It finds it inside of the components header file. And this is how you could call everything inside the root. If you want to call these components, you put @ and it goes right into the very root, and then you call the folder components, and then the file name header right here. So it import header, and now I can put in that as the component header. That's how you add a component. I can also import footer right there. See, I love how it pre-fills it for me. Footer. Now I have a header and footer, and then here's my everything inside the content. Save that, and this is how it looks like. And so now we have these links, and I can go to, clicking on that, contact us page, about page, home page. And so see how easily I can add in a header and footer. Now remember, this is global for everything, and because I put it inside this layout. And so yeah, this would be my default layout for all of my Next.js 14 apps that I create. I create these groupings. I have the error pages. I have component library. This is to connect to the database. I'll do a future video on that, how to connect Next.js 14 with cloud databases. And components folder, because you're going to create a lot of components while you're creating Next.js. And components are the main thing for Next.js. You can create the components in here. And so you see how I created this header component here, and I can just drop that inside. So it's the same thing. See that? So yeah, the components are really just these right here, these functions that we put into the components folder. So yeah, I'll do a lot more tutorials on these. If you're kind of still confused, I include all of my coding here with a lot more code and comments and tips and tricks and all that, and I include that on my Patreon. And you can download this whole app boilerplate if you want. From there I include all my codes, even from the other tutorial. So go check that out if you want to easily download these codes. If you forgot anything, review it. And also joining my Patreon will also support this channel on creating more tutorials for you guys. So now, yeah, I want to wrap it up with some tips and tricks on Next.js 14. I think I covered all of the basics, and it should help you to get started. And I'll just give you some more tips and tricks here to help further you along. And then just stay tuned for some more tutorials coming up, because I'm going to go into depth within each topic, because it can get long if I just cover everything all at once. So I like to break it up, and it will help you learn it a little bit better. Okay, so my first tip here is that I run into this a lot because Next.js deals with caching, and these pages here, sometimes they won't show the correct information for you while you're working on your programming. So while you're programming, and if something doesn't show up correctly for you and you're like, hey, I think it should show up, but it's not operating correctly, for the page, it could be because your page is cached, because Next.js, they use caching to help with the website. So for an example, I'm inside of my app right here and inside of the homepage, page.js. And let's say I'm coding inside the homepage here and something's not showing up correctly on my homepage. All I have to do is add in a revalidate. So export const revalidate equals, and give it a certain amount of seconds. So I'm going to do 10 seconds. And so this will revalidate this page after 10 seconds. So let's say I'm on my home page here, I'm refreshing and I'm not seeing my updates. Well, just wait 10 seconds, and this revalidate means that it's going to stop the caching on this page, and then it'll load up the latest version of this home page for me. And finally, to end this, I'm going to show you how to just create some simple dynamic pages right here, because I know this is very important for every website. So I'm going to my shop products page right here. I'm creating a new folder inside of products, okay? And I'll put this bracket slug end bracket. And then inside of here, this folder, I have a page.js. Because everything needs a page. So what this does is it creates a link inside our products page here. So now I can call it /electronics like that. And now this is a path and it's dynamic because this is the slug. I can call this anything I want, like iPhones, anything like that. And how I do that is inside a page here, export default function product items, and then I give this a params like that, return. So I'll show you right here, console.log params.slug, and I'll save that. So now if we go to products /iPhones here, you see how down here it console logged iPhones. So that is how you create a dynamic page. If I go to electronics like that, now down here it says electronics. So I can take in parameters, and these are now dynamic pages I created inside of the product folder. See, I have products here, and now these are all dynamic. And it's all thanks to this bracket slug thing here. You don't have to call it slug. You can even call it like items or something like that. You just have to rename this to be the same name like that, items, and then it'll pick that up. Now let's say if I want this to go further, like electronics /iPhone /ABC, something like that, right? I can just rename this items here, this folder items, and then I put right in front of it ... like that. So it's bracket period items and bracket. Now this parameter ends up being something like this, params.items. It is an array, right? So an array of 0 params.items 1. Now I can take in as many as I want for this example right here. So 0 will be electronics, 1 will be iPhone, and I can just go further and further. So I'll show you right here. I have the simple code right here where I take the param, I determine the length, so let's say items, right? Because I'm taking in the params.items, I'm checking if the length is more than 0, and then I do a params.items.map on that. I take the item, and it also gives us an index when we do a map. And then I'm just gonna print out the item right here, item, from this params.item. So I'm just iterating through this whole thing, and I'll just show you how dynamic this can be. So let's do it over, electronics, right, /iPhone /ABC. So you see electronics, iPhone, ABC. So I pretty much iterated through this whole URL right here to get all of the items, or slugs they like to call it. So that's how you can create dynamic pages out of this. It's a folder, and then it has to have a page in here. But I'll cover more of this going forward in future tutorials. I'll do more full details on dynamic pages, how to pass data through them, how to use the use client versus use server, server APIs, use state databases. All of this stuff I'll cover in future tutorials, so make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, this was just a brief step through on the basics of how to install Next.js, how to use it. And yeah, you can get this full code on my Patreon if it helps you out. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Code K out.